Why are you looking so sad and serious now? If you had studied the way I told you to, you wouldn't be in this situation. I warned you that playing around wouldn't pay off. Now you see it for yourself.
Hi everyone, welcome to Lens Out Studio. I'm happy to always have with me Ben, and today we're going to be diving into an interesting topic. Welcome to Lens Out Studio, where we explore fatherhood, culture, and everyday moment that shapes our children. Today we are talking about something very important and every parent should take into cognizant: a child's disappointment. Maybe they didn't make a team, as a disappointment. Maybe they failed a test, as a disappointment. Or maybe they lost something they worked so hard for. In those moments, children don't just remember their failures. They remember how their father responded. Did we rush to fix it? Did we dismiss their feelings? Or did we help them grow stronger through it? In many African homes, there's a saying: however long the night, the door will break. Disappointment is part of life, but how father guides their children through it can shape their resilience for years to come. So today, between me and Ben, we're going to explore 5 different questions fathers should think about when their children faces disappointment. We're going to include parent wisdom, African proverb, insight from psychology, as we always do. So let's get straight to it. Ben, you want to say hello to everyone?
Oh, yes. As usual, I will always say, first and foremost, thank you, Jim Charles, for always having me. It's always been a pleasure being in the studio with you. And as always, we appreciate everyone that have tuned in, that are still tuning in, whether you're watching us online or listening to us, or you're going to work this one later around the world. We appreciate you being part of the family, and it can only get better by your efforts, by you encouraging us, by you being engaged, and for you being involved. So once again, we appreciate you. And from now, we can get started. Let's get it.
Yeah, let's get it on. Disappointment, basically, as my intro have already stated, is when you work so hard for something and it went south. It happens. I've never listened to any person that recorded success that did not also record disappointment. It's part of life. We face it. We are still facing it. Our children have faced it and they are still going to continuously face it. So it's a part of growth, and it's very important as fathers to help our children grow through this and to become stronger and build resilient. We have 5 questions, and the first one is: what is the first thing a father should do when a child is clearly disappointment? I'll throw it over to you, Ben.
Well, sincerely speaking, we live in a world where father's presence matters very, very much in a child's life, regardless, right? They said the father is the pillar of the home, and whatever a child's want to be tomorrow, it's a reflection of the father, regardless. So for me, for that question you've asked, number one, the key idea we need to understand is that the presence is what matters, right? Not the correction at this point. So the first thing how I will do as a father is to first acknowledge the child's feeling. That's what I will first do. I will acknowledge it before trying to fix the solution. Now, children most of the time don't need immediate solution. If you have noticed them, they don't want immediate solution, but rather they need to feel kind of like seen and understood. Now, an example that I'm going to give to you is like, take for example, now a child tried out for a sports team but didn't make it. Now, instead of saying, don't worry, it's not a big deal. For me, a connected father might say, I can see you are really disappointed. You have really worked hard for this. Now, that moment of validation tells the child that his own feelings matters. His father understanding and is not alone. Now, once the emotion settled, then the guidance can begin, right? So for me, you need to understand the emotion. You need to let them know that that is not the end. In everything you do, there is always a beginning, right? And it's for you as a father to guide them through that particular journey. So that's my own point for now. let me leave it for you to give us some of your view.
Yeah, I'll start with an African adage. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel the warmth. And as I have said, I've become a storyteller and good enough.
Yes.
My daughter is into basketball, and there's this league that they played. Good enough, she's in a team that they are doing very, very well. They've always been having all their wins. So the last two games, no, the one before the final, they lost. And this is what actually happened. The coach noticed, and she's actually pivotal. She's very important in that team. The coach noticed some strength and not capitalized on the weakness. So he noticed that whenever they have the ball, so they'll choke my daughter. And because of that, for reasons, she was committing fouls and fouls and fouls, and they lost the game. That was the first time in like 7 years the school will be losing the game. So she felt that the fouls she committed was the reason why they lost. But the coach of the other opponent noticed that if we can crowd her, we'll make her commit foul and we can win. And they won. And at the end of the game, she was wailing, crying, oh, they haven't lost game before. They lost game because of me. I hope when she sees this video, we're going to laugh about it. They lost game because of me, blah, 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 blah. So the first thing I did, I went, I embraced her, not even only me, all the parents, because they know how important she is to the team. All the parents went, hugged her, embraced her, tell her to relax, that this is not, because it's a point at the end of the, it's a number of points that, I mean, it's not like a knockout. So hitting points, all you just, but she said they've always been having perfect scores. But at the end of the day, what did I do? I acknowledge her feeling, just like what you said.
True.
That, yeah, I know you're frustrated. I know you're not happy. I know there's a strategy the coach deployed, which to me, that coach was actually smart, because how can you have a team that's been winning and you have a coach that was smart enough to look for weakness and crowd some of the good players? So that was what the coach did. Smart coach, and he got a point. He got a win. So I acknowledge that feeling. We talked about it, and it was a teaching moment. I wasn't all out to teach that, hey, this is what you shouldn't do, because I saw weakness. Not something she should have done, but that was not the time for us. The time for us is to, if we had to onboarding, for her to talk about how she was feeling. And good enough, she has good support system. All of her friends, all of them came hugged her because they know how important she is to the game and how important she is to the team. So just as you have said, acknowledging the feeling is very, very important. Allow your kids to express themselves.
Yes, let them.
Not like, keep your mouth shut. You could have done better. This is your fault.
It's true.
This is your fault. The team has been winning all these years. So it is your fault. You know, we could have gone that way, but we're going to kill the soul. We're going to kill the person. That's not the purpose. The purpose as a father is to encourage, to support, to be there. So allow them to express themselves, allowing them to feel the feel. If there's a image like that, they should feel it. You understand? And the next one, it was 70, almost 30 points different. So, and that's how, and at the end of the day, they won the league. So, but if I had focused on what was wrong, not focusing on what was right, not encouraging her to express herself, it could have backfired. They learned from it. Their coach also learned from it. It's a teaching moment. Their coach also learned from it, but not at that moment. That moment is a time for the kids, because they are all crying. You won't believe they are all crying. Like, oh, these are still small kids. But even big footballers too. If they lose, they also cry. You understand? So it's part of what. So they're all crying and expressing their emotion. That's the wrong time for us to say, you should have been passing the ball after 5 seconds.
Exactly.
When the ball gets to you, you should know. That's a time for feeling. Allow them to feel it. So what is the first thing a father should do when a child is clearly disappointed? Allow them to feel the feel. The first thing a father should do is to acknowledge the child feeling before trying to fix it. So acknowledging that feeling is very important. And there's a research that says, research in development and psychology shows that emotional validation helps children regulate stress and build emotional intelligence. According to this study, according to the study, children who express themselves build resilience at the end of the day. So parents, fathers, what I'm saying with this point is let them feel the feel. If he's crying, let them cry.
Yeah.
If he's wailing, let them wail. At the end of the day, we can talk about fix, but at the moment, we're talking about feeling. So allow them to feel the feel. Okay, that's number one. Number two, should parents protect children from disappointment or allow them to experience it? Should parents protect their children from disappointment or allow them to experience it? I'll say this adage, then you can chip in.
Okay.
Smooth seal do not make a skilled sailor. Smooth sea do not make a smooth sailor.
It's in turbulence.
You have it.
It's in turbulence.
Yeah,
understood. So, okay, let me start with this. That's a very nice one. Honestly, now children should experience disappointment in a safe situation because it prepares them for the real life. Honestly, disappointments, they should experience it in a safe way. But again, it prepares them for the real life. Now, parents shouldn't just be, shouldn't remove disappointment from child's life. They should help the child learn how to undo that particular disappointment. Life includes rejections. Life includes failure. Life includes setback. Life includes, you lost, a lot of things. That is life in general. So if a children never face disappointment growing up, my brother, they will struggle more when they face it as an adult. So let they go through it, allow them to go through it. It's part of growth. It's part of learning. It's part of preparing them for what is ahead. That is one of the things I get scared of, our own ways of growing up, Jim Toes, is quite different from the way this kid growing up. We are tough dog. We don't care. There's some things, if it comes, but it has come. We moved on. But kids of nowadays, they will just, break down. And I always tell them, like, once the emotion settles, as a father, the guidance begin. Let them run, but let them face that disappointment. So, an example of which is if a child again doesn't win a competition, the goal isn't to blame the judges or to say this was unfair. Instead, the father will say losing hurts sometimes, which is given, but it also teaches you how to grow. So, disappointment is not the enemy. Isolation during disappointment is. So, as a father, you just have to be there. And not just as a father, as a parent too. Because the ultimate thing is that if you are afraid of failure, right, then there's a problem. It's better for you to fail. We've seen so many of the people we call the richest people in the world today failed in so many things. Because if you don't fail, you won't learn and you won't grow. So for me, as a father, allow them to explore that. But that's where you are there as a father to do what? To teach them how to grow towards it. Let me hear from your own point.
Yeah, I like the way you said that children in a safe and supportive environment. Children should experience disappointment in a safe and supportive environment. And there's also a saying that a small setback prepare children to handle bigger life challenges.
True.
A small setback prepare children to handle bigger life challenges later. I'll give an example. I'll use stock, for example. When you are trading stock and let's say you invest with $1,000 or let's say $100, you understand, and you lose $100. So painful, right? Yeah, so painful. Somebody that invested with $10 is also painful, but what they lost is smaller. Somebody that invested with $100, painful, is more than someone that invested with $10.
Correct.
So what I'm saying, at that small age, so let's take the $10 at a younger age, $100 at an older age. Somebody that maybe his capacity is like $70. He went to go and borrow money and invested $100 and he lost that in trading. Or even if he bounced back, you bounce back like as a cripple.
True. 100%.
You cannot bounce back being normal. So it's very important that you allow your kids in a safe and supportive environment to experience disappointment. It builds resilience in them. As we have said, it's not the number of times you sail. When you see turbulence, how you're able to handle those turbulence.
To navigate.
Yes. You cannot handle turbulence until you see turbulence. No matter, it's just like driving. No matter the theory, no matter the PS5 you drive, you play. When you get to the street, maybe Lagos Street, for example, and you see
Yes.
Keke Nape here, you see Downfall here, you see all of them,
You
and you have
you
been
see Okada.
sandwiched. Yeah, and you're able to maneuver and drive safe.
Yeah.
So, what am I saying? It's
Mm.
good you allow them to experience disappointment,
Very key.
provided it's a safe environment. What
Exactly.
we mean by safe environment, there's an opportunity to bounce back in a better, stronger way. You know, there's some disappointment that you would, if you know it has a catastrophic cost.
Consequences.
Person
Yeah.
cannot bounce back, then that's not a safe environment. Because as parent, like what I used to tell my kids, that as father, one of my major responsibility, side by side being a provider, is a protector. That cannot protect you if I don't know some information. It's like if I don't know what is going on, so we need to talk. Very important that we talk. So when you have a conversation, you hear disappointment, you will know how to advise. You will know, you allow them to feel it. That is what we've said before, in a safe environment. But there's something I also need to say. As they are feeling it in a safe environment, provided they are not being destructive.
Mm.
You know, you've seen the situation whereby they say somebody is angry and is breaking all the plate and TV. Actually, that is something that I don't think I support, and I don't think I
No.
do also. So yeah, it's okay to feel disappointment in a safe environment,
Yeah.
in a managed control environment, not something that is out of proportion. So it's very, very important to get that one straight, because what we're trying to do, we're not just trying to say what we've read from book. We're speaking from practical experience that we've had, we've read, we've seen, we've experienced ourselves. So that is why, provided there is no person is not throwing tantrum that is unredeemable. If the person is angry, because some people will express ourselves in different ways. Some people might feel disappointed and cry. Some people might feel disappointed and want to isolate themselves. But somebody that feel disappointed and want to go and break house, we need to sit down and make sure that you don't have the opportunity to break house, because the cost will even be more than what one can recover from. So it's very, very important to add that in. So the third one, what mistake do fathers commonly make when their children faces disappointment? What mistake do fathers commonly make when their children faces disappointment? An African adage: wisdom is like a bamboo tree, like an iroko tree. No one person can embrace it. A bamboo tree is a big tree that is so big that you cannot wrap your hand around it. So, owo, laughing, wowo, no one hand. So wisdom is like a bamboo tree. So meaning, what do father commonly make when their children faces disappointment?
So I'm going to be giving three, from my own side, maybe three common mistakes that I have seen just along this journey, not the technical one. And the first mistake that I've seen is trying to tell your child it's not a big deal. Now, a child sees it as a big deal. Why? Because you've not experienced life the way you've experienced life. Yeah. And at that point, you need to come to their level. That's one mistake. It's own. The second mistake I've seen again is maybe immediately trying to fix the situation. Some father rush into solution mode, my brother. Example of which is that, okay, let's say, for example, you didn't make the team, right? I'll talk to the coach. We've seen it a lot in the movies, right? That can eventually or intentionally teach the child that someone will always rescue me at any particular point. That's mistake two. Mistake three, again, is maybe at time when responding with anger instead of empathy. We are all guilty of this. A proper African man, my brother, we all
raise his
guilty
voice.
of this. We always, sometimes, disappointment triggers frustration in parents. It's given. It's normal. You can't hide it because this kid at times can be a pain in the neck. It's given. Now, examples is that you didn't practice enough. That's why you failed. Screaming at them. Even if it is true, that particular moment requires support first, then correction later, right? Yeah. So the biggest mistake a father can make is focusing on the results, right? Instead of the child's emotional experience. That is one of the three things I can bring out. What about your side?
Yeah, from my end, you have mentioned, I'm just going to re-echo some of the things you've said. fixing it. Fathers, that mechanic A, B, C, Z go to mechanic to fix it, and neither are children too. So don't rush to fix it. Sometimes you allow what you said before in a safe environment for the child to go through it. For example, you have a child that is not doing well in their spellings, and the teacher in the report say, "Hey, your child is not doing well in the spelling." The next thing I ask that, is it required in life? After all, we have ChatGPT, we have Google. Please move to the next class because you want peace of mind, right? So you are trying to fix it and move on, or you're trying to push it under the carpet. That is not a solution. So, okay, it's not doing well. What can we do? If they can be taking 5 words a day to memorize it, to spell it, if they can learn their phonetics, the way they pronounce words, that will help. So what do we need? Maybe you need to get an extra class. You need to enroll them in English class, in phonetics, which even me myself, I'm supposed to have enrolled. I enroll my aunt
Oh God!
because the thing is just changing my tongue up and down. But I'm trying. I think I'll go back to it. Back to the kit. Don't rush to fix it. That is one. Two, allow the process, go through the process, like what the example I've said. And there is one that I said here that children development study indicates that overprotective or dismissive parenting can reduce a child's ability to manage emotion. What makes mistake do father commonly make when their children faces disappointment? When you are overprotective, you are dismissive, you are not making your child, you are not building a balanced child that can live outside of you at the right time. It's actually an interesting scenario. We are building children, or we are pouring ourselves into children that we want them to be independent of us in the future. So in the process of doing that, we must allow them pass through some things by themselves. Think about it. Like sometimes I just tell them, it's okay, this A, B, C, D has happened. Let's think about it. So sometimes I just throw questions, not because I don't know the answer. I throw question that after we've passed through the feeling moment. Let me go back to that basketball. After we passed through that feeling moment, one of the things I did was, because she was playing box to box, one of the things I did was to go and look for players. I don't know anything about basketball. Even up to now, I'm see, because they cause so many fouls now. I'll shout up, this is foul. They say, no, it is not. This is not foul. I actually see not so much about it. I know at least I have a fair idea about soccer. So I understand that, and I'm using some of that knowledge because sport is somehow generic.
Yeah.
So I'm using that understanding and that knowledge to pass. I was like, okay, if you are playing, for example, you are playing wing, let's say, for example. So what do you need? You need pace. You should be able to run. You should be able to do 1-on-1, 1v1. You should be able to like maneuver yourself. So what do we need to do? In enrolling in, let me even start with a funny story. She actually started basketball in elementary school, and in the elementary school, they were beating them.
I think you've told me about the story before.
Yes, they were beating them 21-40. So my neighbor said, he said, we're so busy parents that we cannot be coming here and be watching our children be beaten like this every night. So what do we do? We have to enroll them in like a private basketball court. Street, in short, it's a street, because in their school basketball, okay, you can bounce it. This guy will shout on there, move it. The normal coach. So that actually creates street sense and creates resilience.
Yeah.
So it's important to make them pass through the process. It might take extra hours. It might involve you involving them into some extra classes. Allow them to pass through the process. I think it's very important. Do not fix it, provided it's not destructive.
Yes.
I have to use that caveat.
Exactly.
Provided it's not destructive. You cannot say your child is crossing the road. Say you are crossing the road. Okay, cross it. No. If you cross it, if catch, you hit your child, the cost is more. The cost is, the healing should not be more than the cost. Let me give an example. I remember my mom used to have a poultry. It's a small poultry. And there was a time that I saw this bird, ants in the poultry further. So they've used so many stuff, it's not going. So we used to use, because we have mosquito, it's common in the north. So we have inside mobile. So and I thought to myself, this mobile is killing mosquito now. This thing they are ants now. So what I did was I picked one of the birds, opened the armpit, and
Spray.
spread
Spray.
everything around the bird.
Yeah,
it killed the chicken, it killed the bugs. So that kind of situation is not, at the end of the day, is a lost both way. Yeah,
exactly.
it killed the bugs
But
on the chicken, but it also killed. So that is not, so don't do that. So don't rush, allow them to go through the process, because it build resilience and it make them emotionally balanced. It will be painful that you have a child of 30 something, I'll be calling you that my boss spoke to me in a rough way. You have not built resilience in them. One more thing before I leave that topic. Tell them your story. Tell them your story of resilience. Tell them your story of how you went through. People learn the most with story. For example, I have a wonderful pastor that whenever I start preaching, the first 10 minutes, I don't even understand what my pastor is saying. And it's not me, most people. But by the time they start telling you about the story, it's what it's saying. You understand? Yeah. So story is powerful instrument. So tell them your story. Tell them your parents' story. Tell them story that you can feel, you can remember. Relate it. It sink into their mind. It helps them to know how to build emotional balance. Yeah. So the fourth one, how can father turn disappointment into a life lesson instead of a painful memory? There's an African adage that says, however long the night, the dawn will break. How can father turn disappointment into a lesson, but not a painful memory?
Well, I would say this is one of the biggest influence that a father must have on a child. Now, to start with, let's say disappointments, we can say something like disappointment comes the lesson, right? When a father helps a child to reflect, but not to regret. Now, here are some of the steps I would take as a father that I can use. Now, step one, let the child talk about how they feel. Allow them to talk. Allow them to express themselves. Allow them to just pour out their emotion. Step two, refrain from the situation. Help them see the bigger picture. Now, example of which is you didn't make the team that time, but now you know what to work on, right? Those are part of things you can tell the kids, because I'm bringing this example from some of the notes, that, relates to what we see with kids nowadays. Now, step three is to focus on effort and growth. Now, look at what you and your neighbor did. When you saw that, man, as things are going, it's going to be bad. Even if I don't understand this and this kid has passion for this, why can't I invest in it? Now, look at how the efforts you've made and the growth they've seen. Now, it's your joy seeing your daughter being a champion today. So what matters most, right, is that you have given them everything they need and they've improved on it and you've seen the results. Now, the truth is this: over time, the child learns that setbacks are not the end. Rather, they are part of growth. So as a father, please, always turn whatever just take yourself in that position. I know you have a lot of experience. I'm talking about the fathers or the parents now, but always put yourself, you have to act like 10 or a 15 years old kid and let them see that you are part of them. You are part of their story, and you can, through you, two of you, you can walk it through and win, whatever thing that is going through their mind. So just learn that setback is not the end. They are part of growth. What about you, Jim Tof?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have to add anything, but I'll just talk because you've actually have captured the intent. Set back. Sometimes you step back so that you gain momentum to be able to jump long.
Exactly.
Long jump. When you see people want to do long jump, they walk back.
True.
Then they run forward and gets long jump. So that is how I see it. And that was funny. That's what I tell my kid when that they happen. Step back is not a failure. It's necessary for you to be able to gain momentum to run and have a long jump. Now, if you're having a long jump, you are covering, you are not only, maybe you are, for example, you're in step 2 and you had a step back. No, let's say you're in step 4, you had a step back and you jump to step 3. So that step 3, you gather momentum to jump to step 7. What do you need to do, as you have said? You need to now be intentional about it. Do I really love this? As you have said, don't be in a haste don't be a fixer dad.
No.
Yeah, don't be a mechanic. Don't be a fixer dad. This thing happened to me. Oh, I'll fix it. Oh, I fail exam. I'll call jam.
No.
I fail YX. I'll get you external people to write it for you. You are building disaster.
True.
If you're a fixer, I can bet that you're building disaster. Some people might disagree. They say, well, who needs hard work or who needs resilience when you are a small girl with big father? You know, so you can only ring your dad. You can only ring your dad for a moment, because when as a father, if you're a fixer, when you are incapacitated, you cannot be available. When you are not in that level of connection, when you lose that influence, what happen? Then the frustration, what you are trying to avoid, our whipping that are trying to avoid, you will not get it in 7-fold. So do not fix. Bring yourself down to their age and have a conversation. What did we learn? After we must have our feeling. Our feeling is the first thing. We feel the feeling. Then what did we learn?
True.
Oh, this is what happened. So let's now take, what I used to think is that let's take ourselves out of it. And let's say we're analyzing somebody that this happened to. What are we going to tell the person? So your child should not be the one say, oh, I will tell the person to do A, B, C, D. Say, okay. So do you think if you do A, B, C, D, do you think we're going to have a change? Of course. Then when are you going to start doing A, B, C, D? You're talking to me. Of course, I am talking to you. So we need to start. So it's very important as a parent to always not be a fixer. Allow them to go through the process. Allow them to come up with, let it be as if they are the one thinking or providing the solution. Even though it's your hand guiding, but they are the one pushing it. And at the end of the day, people always like to defend what they put their hand to. Yeah.
With that, it makes it authentic, and as it goes on, it's going to evolve. And like I said, with strength and empathy, these kids will know that together they can't just go without us guiding them all through. So that's how I'm going to leave it at this point.
Yeah. So as you have said, that story is in depth. There's a way it draws. Somebody might be giving speech, by the time it starts giving stories, there's a way it draws people to you. And
you must tell a story. You must just tell a story.
Best teachers are teachers that tell story.
Yeah, they tell stories.
Parents,
honestly,
you must tell story. One of my memorable moments with my mom is when she would sit down, she would tell me a story about this, that, and one of the TV station or TV program that actually was very popular back in Nigeria is actually called Tales by Moonlight.
Okay, Tales by Moonlight, yeah.
Whereby a man sit down and tell stories. So stories are very, very important. Talk about you. Talk about your parents. It also creates a sense of identity. One of the topics that we once discussed. If you haven't watched that, go and look for it on our channel. We've discussed about our important identity. So do you want to give us a wrap up before I just read out what I wrote?
Yes. So in closing, dear fathers, dear parents, our children will face disappointments many times in life, but it is up to us on the way we respond to those moments. And that moment can either build up resilience or create fear. And that's why conversations like this are so important. So to all our viewers today, thank you so much for joining. I will leave it for Jim Toast to give his own final submission.
Yeah, I have a closing wrap here that I wrote. As we wrap up today's conversation, one thing becomes very clear. Disappointment is not the enemy of childhood. Silence and misunderstanding are. Every child will face moments when things don't go their way. A missed opportunity, a loss of game, a broken dream. But what shapes them most is not the disappointment itself. It's the voice of their father in that moment. Do they hear judgment? Do they hear pressure? Or do they hear guidance, patience, and belief? There's an African adage that says, rain does not fall on one roof alone. Disappointment is everywhere. Disappointment is part of every human story. Our role as father is not to remove every storm from our children's life, but to teach them how to stand in the rain and keep walking forward. So the next time your child faces disappointment, remember that moment is not just a setback. It's an opportunity to build resilience, confidence, and trust between father and child. Thank you so much for joining us on Let's Out.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.
See you next
Bye.
week. Bye.